Hi guys. I'm here with Toddy Skip. Toddy One Skip, right?
Yes.
And we are going to talk about addiction recovery tonight and whatever else we decide to talk about because she surprised me and said she could come on. So I was like, "All right, let's do this." You know? So what do you do? You tell everybody where your channel. You have an awesome channel. I found her by her YouTube channel.
Right. So, what do I do?
Yeah, like what do you do on your podcast? Because my people may not know.
Okay.
You guys got to
So,
go to her podcast though.
I don't know. It's a mismatch of things. I have to say that I've not been able to define
It's
the. I've not been able to define the genre. So I think what I really, I talk about like the topical stuff, but I also talk about like, my story as far as like, I worked in a jail for a long, long time. And then I worked with people in recovery. I worked with juveniles in recovery for about 8 years. And yeah, so I've done some stuff. And then, so I'm interested in some things. So I've incorporated that and all.
right. I
So
know it's really cool.
true crime, and topical things, and just unfair and unjust things.
I really like the true crime stuff. I see
Thank-
people really getting into that, and it's pretty cool. I mean, it's not cool.
I
crime.
understand what you're saying. It's not something that actually that there should be
Right.
this culture around, but it's there.
Yeah. I know.
It's there. What gets me is when it's celebrated. I've got a problem when it's celebrated.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of Gypsy Rose Blanchard, where I just
I saw that.
don't feel like she should be celebrated. And, she's also somebody that has told a bunch of untruths, yet Hollywood has opened up the door for that and has welcomed it and celebrated it and made this woman like a role model off her infamy. And, a lot of people can't determine what's the difference between famous and infamous. And, you don't want to be infamous. So.
That's so true because it's like, well, yeah, just because people know you, you're not. You're. I mean, what are people don't like her? Just like, oh my God, Casey Anthony. Did you ever do any
Yeah.
stories on? You remember the trial?
Yes, yeah. Well, I
Man,
remember a lot about that. Unfortunately, yeah,
it
I
was
haven't got
terrible.
any stories about her because I was not doing anything really on YouTube at the time. I wasn't really doing anything on YouTube. So, like when I started, like what I wanted to do on YouTube, it was more like telling the stories of everyday people that nobody would know unless um you told a story. And I'm a firm believer, if you stop talking about somebody, then they no longer exist. So it's important that we continue on with the stories of the people that aren't here anymore that were good people. you
Yeah,
know so,
for sure. And we're
and I
doing.
think that, yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to talk about the 20th, but you say it.
No, so I it does leave a segue here to, like I had done an interview with a woman who was just a really strong woman who lost her son and did everything she could in her power to get
Yeah.
her son. And I would just read comments, and she would talk about comments because she was a recovering addict, and because of that she was viewed in such a light that I don't want to say anybody dare say that she deserved what happened to her son, because that's not what I'm saying. But it's like
Right.
people more or less were like, "Oh, well, I understand now." What do you mean you know what I mean? Like
I see
and
that,
and
honestly.
I do think that, I've said a couple things, so, and I stand by it. Some of my most favorite people are, and I think that that gets lost somewhere.
It's almost to where I've gotten to the point to where I stopped saying I'm an addict, or I'm an alcoholic because I mean, I think I don't know. It's like I think that's where the stigma is coming for myself. By saying it, my subconscious is hearing me, and it's still like, but am I still an addict? Like, I don't. I'm Lindsay now. I'm a whole person. Do I have mental illnesses? Do I have addictions? Yeah. Unfortunately, and this earlier today, actually, I did that a video, and I thought about it after, and I said, you know what? Addiction, recovery, mental health, it'll always be in my life. And I just have to accept that is my fight, and it always will be my fight, and not a bad way. Like, this is like, I'll want to be like away from YouTube, or like, I want to go do this, and it's like, no, it's not about you. Because I got sober, and I don't deserve a lot of the stuff I have. It's very selfish, self-seeking, and can't believe I'm still here alive. And so I feel like I have to do something to, you know, tell others, like, hey, if someone that was doing the stuff I was doing can do it, and like go through like the nonsense that I put myself through, like, you guys can do it too. And so, but yeah, there's also a big difference, I think, between living like you're still using, but not. And it's a weird thing to
That
explain.
dope fiend. No, it's dope fiend behavior. No,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
that's that dope fiend behavior. So yeah, so that is actually, see, that's why I think it's important to recognize that that whole like sketchy, even though you any when I say you, I mean in general, when you've stopped using, because first of all, you go through your own money, and then you start going through other people's money, and you find creative ways of how to do that. So you kind of think along those lines,
right.
and you see the benefit of it, like you actually see the benefit of it, and then when you stop using,
Mm-hmm.
you start realizing, well, I got this and I got that, and it's like stinking thinking, basically. And
Yeah, exactly.
you definitely have to, because part of that behavior, a good part of that behavior, is a lot of the reasons why people didn't want to be around you to begin with.
So true. That selfish, self-seeking behavior, like, uh it's, well, and for me too. So with that comes, if I relapsed because I remember feeling like I got really greedy with money. I was doing admissions for a treatment center, and I had just a few years. So I, like, 3.5 years sober. I thought I knew everything, and I started getting like, money was important, like the most important, and like, ego, and like, and I got married, and it was just like, I thought I like was doing something, and I got humbled really quick, and I
Right.
went out, and I'm surprised I made it back. I did stuff I never thought I would do in my whole life, and it really taught me. I mean, I feel humbled today, like, even having to do, I say have to, but like, I have like these things for myself that I know instinctively I have to do for myself to stay sober now, because I've been doing it long enough that I know that if I don't tell on myself, or like, if I lie about something serious, like, I can't keep it going. Like, I could
Yeah, you
relapse,
definitely you have to
but
self-regulate, because you have to
yeah.
be honest with yourself. The whole recovery process is
Hmm.
honest. So when I did, it must have been so I did, no, I did a video called Up Close and Personal, and
Hmm.
because I wanted people to understand, why I say the things I did, where my thought process is coming from. And because I speak on a lot of things, and I don't claim to be an expert on fucking anything I speak on. Let me just say that I don't
Either.
even claim to be an expert in my own life. It is a work in progress. But I am very good at pointing out shit in other people's lives, like everybody else, and not in their own. And that's just the way, that's
Yeah,
human
I can
nature,
get.
right? But
I
as you get older, you become more humble, or you just become more stupid. So I've become more humble, and have realized that there's a lot of things in my own behavior and such that I can learn from and speak on. It doesn't always have to be that I'm pointing at other people. I could point at myself and say, this is the way I was, and it's not the way I wanted to live. There was a better part of me. There was always a better part of me that I
Yeah.
could show myself and that I could show the world. And I've always strived for that.
Hmm.
So, but even when I was using, and I have to say that, see, I don't know, I can't honestly say that I was addicted, because I think that I abused drugs more, because I didn't need it every day, but I did have it every day. I just want to say that. But when I decided that I didn't want to do it anymore, and I remember my stupid friend at the time, I was my stupid friend because I wouldn't take her to go get, the white stuff anymore down in Miami because I was the one that drove. And she said, why? I said, because I told you I don't want to do this anymore. So then she calls my mom and she
Jesus.
tells my mom that I do that. And so my mom doesn't believe her. So my mom calls me and she says, your friends, excuse me, she said, they're telling lies on you. And I was like, well, what lies? And she told me, and I said, that's not a lie. And
Wow.
I said, that's not a lie, but I just want you to know that I don't want to do it anymore. I'm not going to do it anymore. My mom's still around. She'll probably see this because I'm going to take it from your
Oh,
channel and put it on my channel as a, replay. And
yes.
but she knows I never lied about that. But here's the problem that I have with that.
Huh.
I'm not saying that everybody is honest. I wasn't telling the truth when I was late everywhere. I couldn't go places because I was, you know, so I
Yeah.
wasn't saying, yeah, well, I'm doing this. And, but I mean, but the thing is that I was a drug addict for probably about 3 years. We'll say that I used all the time for about 3 years, between 3 and 5 years. I used. I don't know if it was every day for that long, but anyway, there were times it was every day. But
Mhm.
um, I always, I told the truth. I got myself clean. I had to move away and stuff like that. But I paid for that. Like I paid again, it goes back to the stigma of it. I have paid for being a drugs abuser, even if it will say 5 years, right? I paid for that for fucking 20 years of my life. Because
Yeah.
the minute I'd be late for something, I wasn't given the benefit of the doubt anymore. And in the meantime, nobody knew I was using until my stupid friend called and I admitted it. I mean, if I would have just said, no, fucking A, she just wants me to take her somewhere. What are you kidding me? You know what I mean? But I didn't, you know, I didn't,
Yeah.
I was never a liar. I was never a liar.
See, that's
Except when I said I was late for other reasons.
yeah,
I was.
that's my problem now to where I'm like I'll instinctively go to make up like a reason of why I'm not I'm like, "Oh, no, I started doing that at work." And I was like, "No, I was sitting there. I was being irresponsible." Like I don't like I don't know what to say anymore. Like when I'm honest, it's like at least like don't sound like shit, you know. Um,
Mm.
but I shouldn't be late anywhere. But that's besides the point. But
It's hard
yeah,
to work in the recovery field when you don't have your own recovery down. Like I've seen
yeah,
that so messed up. And the problem, and here's the thing, they really take advantage of people that are just like getting their
yep. The
sobriety
rehabs,
in order because they hire them at such it's not a very good wage, but
no,
people feel like, oh, but I'm doing something. I'm really doing something. I'm giving back, but a lot of times helping others, as you know, can
yeah,
often lead to your own, relapse.
yeah. I mean, it's compassion fatigue, and the thing is too. I started working in recovery when I had a year sober, and I still think that was way too soon.
Way too
And
soon. I was gonna just say that. Like, I mean, my dog
really,
ears went right up. I
like, and
literally.
that's a long time for rehabs down here. Like, they're hiring them at this other rehab where I was where I first did counseling. And so, and I'm like telling them, I'm like, you're going to burn out, right? Like being honest to them. I'm like, I did that job for years and years and years. And they'd give them all but it was the rehab, they'd make them work hard and it's like minimum wage. And like, they're telling them like, oh, you're working in treatment. It's like really dirty. And like, once that clicked in my mind too, I'm like, I can't be part of this. You know what I mean? Cause like, it's like, I I'm like part of that if I'm working here. But and I eventually moved on, but it's crazy. It's a crazy industry because you want to believe that everybody's there to do good, but like here in Florida, especially, we had the Florida Shuffle going on, and I was working in admissions at that time and saw the body brokers selling clients to come in, and it's like they would get paid to bring in clients to rehab because there was so much money to be made, and it was really crazy and really wild, and a lot of places got shut down and arrested, and like as they should. So
Yeah,
the place
absolutely,
I worked for, a big
absolutely.
place, got shut down. Hmm?
Absolutely. I worked for a place that worked with juveniles, and I was a whistleblower where I didn't even like, I didn't realize half of what was going on. What I saw was, a counselor, which I felt was like taking advantage of a client.
Hmm.
And so I said something about that. And, there was a chain of command. So I followed that chain of command. And after I had said what I had seen, that person said, that the person that I went to said, I got it, that. So that was the end of it. I thought it was handled. About 2 weeks later, I get pulled into an office because now somehow the police had become involved because something happened, which I knew nothing about. I mean, I just didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And, so uh, it comes out that something comes out, and it was like, well, Toddy said, or Toddy witnessed something. And I said, yeah, I did, but I went through the chain of command and I told such
Hmm.
and such said, yeah, she did. And this is what I did. So to me, I did exactly what I was supposed to do. But then something happened where the police were looking for me, and the kids only knew me by, my first name. And so they didn't know how to find me. So then I come back from a trip from the UK, and they want to get rid of me because there's a police investigation going on, which I know nothing about that. I know nothing about this police
Right.
investigation.
But they have
And
to pin it on someone, right? If
well,
someone has to get in
no, what
trouble.
they were trying to do was they were trying to hide me from the cops.
Oh
Like
my
they
God.
didn't want the kids were like, "Oh, you got to talk to Toddy. You got to talk to Toddy," and they're like, "Who's Toddy?" And they're like, "Oh, Toddy doesn't work here anymore." Administration said Toddy doesn't work here anymore
Oh,
because
that's
I used
crazy.
to work. Yeah, because I used to work 5 shifts, but and I also did advertising and marketing at some other place, right? So I worked from like Friday night 4 o'clock in the afternoon till Monday morning 7 o'clock in the morning. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, and I only lived maybe 10 minutes away, so I'd go home and take care of the dogs and come. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So,
Yeah.
but I would do like double. I'd do a single, a double, and a double, and those were my 5 shifts. So on the weekends, the cops really weren't looking for me, and so they told them I didn't work there anymore. What happened was I was at home,
Hmm.
and after they had given me such a hard time, and I was like, yeah, there's something going on here, right? So they kept calling. And at that time we had a landline and a mobile phone, right? So
Yeah.
I'm on the phone with my mom, and they're calling, and my mom said, who's calling? And I said, oh, it's the job. And she said, why do they keep calling? I said, because obviously I'm not answering the phone. She said, yeah, but nobody should keep calling. I don't like that. And my mom was worried for me. She said, can you just call the police and just let them know? Because I was in the witness protection program. So there's always like, when there's something, there's more to it. I'm supposed to do certain things. So anyway, I reached out to the investigator or the detective, whoever answered the phone in this little tiny police department, because I live in a small area. And they were like, are you Toddy? And I said, yeah. And then they started, are you the Toddy from something? Yeah. I said, yeah. They said, I thought you didn't work there anymore. We've been looking for you. There's a court case coming up. So, I mean, like the court case was like 10 days later. So they were trying to hide me. The job
Oh,
was
so
trying
you've been
to hide me.
subpoenaed.
And in
Oh,
the
that sucks.
meantime, the police found me because I
Oh,
was making a complaint about the
yeah.
place. So anyway, yeah. But
Yeah.
anyway, the
Oh
point of
my
this,
gosh.
so that person, so there were two people. The one person That could have very well had been a misunderstanding. The second person that was involved in this is now doing over 25 years because he went through us and went and got another job, and that's where he got busted. So
No.
that's really sad, and that's why it's important to open up your mouth and say things. It's important to. But that's
Ah,
unfortunately some of the people that's also hired in the rehab facilities,
yeah.
because everybody in America right now needs help. All of the companies, all of the industries, the hospitals are shit because
Yeah, they
we lack service. And
yeah.
so when you get people that can't really get a job because maybe they have a criminal past, recovery, those doors, come on in and teach the children well, as
Yep.
Cat Stevens would say, as Cat Stevens
You're
would say.
right.
Can you give me a second? I just got done telling you how I hate when people walk away in lives. So I want you to know that I am a hypocrite, but I thought that I had more beverage in here. I say beverage, people go, there's alcohol. There's no alcohol. It was black cherry soda, but
Oh
there's
no, you mean there's no alcohol on the show talk? Damn
no,
it.
no, no, but I got to be honest. I got a joint right there. I'll be right back.
Jesus Christ. Too much honesty,
But
okay?
see, but see, that's legal. That's legal in New York. That's legal in New York.
Uh I think it's okay, so like you guys know I'm an addiction counselor. I don't even like realize if it's legal in my state. Because they have the fake well, they have the what is it? It's like it's real weed, but it's like under the legal limit. Delta 8, all the kids were doing. So I don't even think I just see cannabis dispensaries, but I don't even I think you have to have a card, like anxiety or something. I don't know. But I never liked pot ever. I wish I did. Hey, hey, Rye, Ursula. She dipped down on me, you guys. Don, you're so right. Self discovery is a lifetime process for everyone addicted, non addicted, and sober. Yeah, I mean, this morning I'm like, I'm gonna hide from everyone, um, from YouTube and go be selfish and not literally didn't say that, but um, and then it's like, and then I talked to her. I'm like, I need to be doing this stuff, talking about recovery. You know,
Are you talking about me?
no,
Okay,
you know,
good.
being selfish, self talking about myself. It's what I do best. Ursula said you'd be back, so I knew you were all right. But yeah,
Is
what
there
were
anybody in the chat? Because I can't see anything. I don't see
yeah,
nothing.
I think if you guys are there's 26 people on my X though, and 17 on YouTube. But if you guys are on X, will you go to my YouTube instead? I'm trying to I don't really like the X streaming thing, but there's a lot of people that go from, all right, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, just, head over to YouTube, BoobTube.
I'm
But
not
yeah,
familiar at all
you
with
can't
that.
see the chat. Wait, you got to click comments on the right. If you
Who are you talking to?
you
It
look
just show chat. Okay. Oh, hide
comment,
chat. No, there isn't a comment button because I'm a guest.
this should show you. That's weird.
It says hide chat, then it says in full. Hang on. Exit full screen mode, and then I think I could do comments. Okay, because I was in full screen mode. Oh, so
Goofball.
I see people now. I don't know. I don't do this much. Oh,
I
we
know.
have a moderator. That's what the wrench is for, right?
Yeah, I was like, what's a mod? Like weeks ago, and they all told me, and I was like, oh, cool. Like you have people that mod. Like this is wild. And I'm like, good thing because you know there's
Yeah.
there's there was some craziness. Would you? I know, Don. I was just kidding. I was just kidding. Um, I know. Mod.
Maud.
Mod.
And then there's Maud. That was a
Who's
television show. She's saying MOD though. Sharecore.
mod? So yeah, but the thing too I was thinking is um I had a tough time when I left that job, I went back there like it was like an abusive ex. I swear I worked there like 3 times. Because it's like everybody's a recovering alcoholic and addict, and it becomes like a sick recovering family.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really,
It's
I
almost
mean,
comfortable, doesn't it? It becomes
yeah.
almost
So it was like, and we're very mean to each other, but like we're like family, and it's like
that's even more comfortable.
it was so weird. Yeah, and we're like, but we're like family. Like this is like our family. And I'm like,
Right, right,
I don't
right.
think this is, I don't think this is right anymore. Like I gotta get the fuck out of here. And so good thing I did, because I would have went crazy. But I really love where I work here now. Because we don't have a treatment center. We go into the environment
You
to
go
have
into the community?
yeah, we go wherever the clients are. And so the home is the treatment center. So most people are at home or somewhere in sober living. But yeah, so it's pretty cool. It's called it's like a step down. Some people just go there and they don't go anywhere else. Do I consider food addiction to be like drug addiction? Absolutely. Like the same. Except you can't abstain from food, right? So what do? I have a I have an eating disorder as well. Um that's just another one to rack up. I have trigger foods and stuff that I can't eat. Like I I just like figured this out one day that I kept eating the same foods over and over again, like knowing that I was gonna like do the same thing every time.
Right.
One day I'm like, just like addiction, like just like drugs. I'm like, oh, so I have to stop eating that, and then I won't, and it worked.
That's
So
good.
imagine that, yeah,
What was the food?
just like really carby. Like I would get like I would binge on like fettuccine alfredo, like heavy carb stuff, and
Right,
I
right.
random shit too. But then and then it was like a not consistent either. So I don't know. It was like when I was really stressed out. But when I was using drugs, I never did it. It was weird. But in early recovery, I found that out.
Huh.
So the addictions kind of transfer into each other, into different things. Um, for a lot of people. Um, you know, and then the mental health, like, crosses in there too. So it's like extra fun.
I think that everybody has mental health
Yeah.
issues. Everybody. And I think everybody has where they come from shit. I think
Yeah.
everybody has, it's just what you do with it. It's what you do with what you were given and how you go forward with it.
Mhm.
And that's your story. So
Hell yeah. That's what it is. It's like now, I mean, the advantage of having been through that, like I talk openly about, the stuff I did in addiction. Um, what I went to prison because of my alcoholism. It was mostly alcohol, not drugs that led me to my charges. I hit cops, like I punched them, and I went to prison for it, and rightly so. I made amends for that. And I had to fight really hard to get my license for counseling because of that. So they did not want to forgive that, and I understand, because that's kind of, those are some serious charges. Um, but I fought, and I said, like, I am rehabilitated, and here's the proof. And I have a huge box, like this much, and I represented myself in court. I took Department of Children and Families to court, and I represented myself, and I won. Like, that's crazy. Like, I was like, what was I just doing? Because I didn't realize that I was like I was really going to court, because I was just like,
right,
said no, and I was like, you're not going to tell me no. I worked hard. I worked for like 7 years on this counseling certification. You have to do it all first, and then you have to go through the process. Then they're like, oh, you got to pay this money. Then you got to do this. Then you got to do this.
right.
I was like, how can you unapprove me after I've been approved since 2015? I haven't gotten charges since '09.
Right. So alcohol was, um see, I think that And I just said this in a video of mine that alcohol is like the demon drug. Like I would much rather hang out with somebody that was strung out than somebody that was going to change on a dime with alcohol, because sometimes alcohol hits people where they must have like this, I don't know how to explain it any better, but this allergic reaction that they turn into this fucking monster.
Yeah, like the devil.
There's
I
no
turned into
warning, and there's no warning, you know what I'm saying? So alcohol is something that I think is extremely dangerous, and it could turn the nicest person into a raging lunatic that hits cops. You know, so
blackout.
how much
I
time did how much time did you do if you don't what?
I did a year up the road.
So was it is that's jail though, not prison,
No
right?
prison. I had 12.6 months.
Okay, so now
That
I
was
get
the
it.
technical. So it was over a year. And I was like, oh man, my lawyer told me I was going home that day. I had 6 months in jail. And jail is worse than prison, because you're confined like really close quarters. In prison, you can like walk around and stuff. But I still in maximum security prison with all like the some of the murders you see on like those shows. Like I
Which
recognize them and
which
talk to them.
prison which prison was
Uh,
that?
Lowell and Ocala.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, that's really scary. I didn't work in a prison.
Really?
I had been to, I've never been incarcerated, but you know, I used to go into a lot of prisons because I used to sell like greeting cards and these real intricate coloring books before there were any kind of intricate coloring books. I started that shit
That's
in the
tight.
prisons. Jen and I did that together. We started that shit in the prisons, but in the jails as well. But I worked in a jail for, oh god, over a decade. And but so
Wow.
I know what you're saying. Everybody goes to jail, not everybody goes to prison. Anybody that's in prison has been to jail, but not everybody that's been in jail has been to prison. And
Yeah.
it's a close quarter, but not only that, here's the thing, that it's got its pros and its cons. So usually people in jail are also awaiting trials and
Mhm.
awaiting their sentencing. So their behavior is also top notch usually as well. So for that reason, jail
Yeah.
is a lot safer than prison because you're more on your toes and stuff. But
Yeah.
prison does get you situated where you know that what you're doing and get you more into a routine and such like that. There's
Well,
also a lot of transients in jail, as you know, and you know it's you get transients in prison too, but not to the degree that you get them in jail.
yeah, like these women were, I was only 23, so I was the youngest. Like that's the cutoff. You have to go into YO, youthful offender camp.
Uh-huh.
You're under
Uh-huh.
23. And I just,
Really, I didn't know that in
yeah,
Florida. Wow.
yeah. So and they have to like do like marching and like, I don't even know. Like it's
Right,
not.
like a boot camp.
So I luckily just, I was a little bit over, it was like 23 and a half or something. So I got in the main, but then
You
they
had
just,
18 months and 23 and a half.
I couldn't tell anybody how much time I had either because these women had life sentences. A lot of them did. And they're like,
Nothing to lose. Nothing to lose.
no, and they would get their papers and it would say EOS date. And I think it would be 9999999. Like you're never getting out. Like life. Like
Right.
it was like I don't even know how to explain like a whole nother world in there. It's like really crazy and it's really nowhere I want to ever be again. I felt like I was in this nightmare that would never end. And it's weird to think about it now because obviously I'm so used to just talking about it freely, but it wasn't fun, but I did, it was the
You
best thing
had
that
to have
happened to
been
me.
scared. I mean,
Yeah.
can
I was
we
a
talk
little
about this a
girl.
little bit?
Huh?
Can we talk about this a little bit?
Yeah.
So, um, was this the first time that you had been like incarcerated or no?
No, I had been incarcerated maybe 8 times. I had to do, well, arrested and gone through the jail process. Sometimes in the beginning I was let go, and then eventually it was no bond. So I had to wait till trial. So like a month to get back on probation,
Right.
drug probation. And then I was on 2 probations and I got let out on probation 3 times. And the fourth time they're like, nah, you're going to prison. I got really lucky. They don't give people that many chances. So
Right.
you know, they knew it was a result of my alcoholism because all my charges are alcohol with alcohol,
Related?
like
Right.
battery charges, because I go into blackout mode. Um, I blacked out from the first time I drank. I thought it was normal for everybody. And I was like, why do people do this? But I would go into this mode and then I would be like, not there. Like it'd be like the devil. My mom would say, like, I see it in your eyes. Like it's crazy. Like my dad was like that. And she's like, it's just crazy. And I'm like, I know. And I do things and I don't know what I'm doing. And then I wake up in bad situations, but I couldn't stop drinking still. Like I still was like not
That's what
able.
somebody says here. Oh, I drank through the throwing up. DB
Yeah.
Cooper.
Yep. Yeah. I remember, I mean, well, I was physically addicted to alcohol at one point, and that is the craziest thing I've ever experienced. Probably more than being hooked on heavy drugs.
Yes. Yeah, because like you could die from that. You could die
Yeah,
from going cold turkey off alcohol.
and I like it. It messes your body up so quick. It messes your body up. Like my body was like I was really really weak, like really bad. It was like a month or two, and it was like straight. I was like having to take shots at 7 a.m. because it was just really
Going
like
for the
I couldn't
DBs and
stop.
stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what do
So
you
oof.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, no, no. Go ahead.
So what do you say about when um like marijuana is legal here in New York?
Mm-hmm.
So how does that fall now? You know, I've been off out of that field for a long time. So
It's
like how does that fall now when there is a state that not just legalizes it for medical reasons, but also recreational reasons?
so it depends on the client individually now, to where some clients are they're not in treatment for that's not their diagnosis. So it's very interesting, right? I don't really know exactly how it works, but so they're not there for that. So maybe they're not addicted to it. So it's a line that I don't know. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying? I don't really
okay,
know
good.
who's making the decisions. I assume it's down to insurance or something, you know. I don't really, because that's what it always usually comes down to. I don't know. But I think I would say if someone is using it as a drug, like to feel differently, that's what I define as an addiction, is like doing something despite consequences that over
But
and over.
that's a weird thing to say, only because we all do something to feel differently, even if we're like writers and we want to
Yeah,
write,
despite
create.
consequences over and over and over again. So that's like, because that's like the broadest definition of addiction. And it's like, I know I don't really like it either, but there's like no definition for, if you think about it, like there really is no, alcoholism isn't real. I mean, like it's not medical word, it's from AA. So it's it's a lot of it's a lot of unknown territory that I think people say they know, and when it gets down to it, it's like there's so much unknown. Like just more I learn, the more I realize I don't know, and that there's way more to this stuff than I ever
Right,
thought. You
right.
know, I thought it was very simple at first, and then find out there's way more to it than I could have imagined. You know, it's
So
weird.
when you were in, so you preferred prison over jail,
Yeah.
right? But and I know it's scary when you first get in there and you just and then you start coming back and then it's embarrassing because people are like, "Told you you'd be back. Told you so." You know.
Yeah, the same people are in there and you see them over and over again. If you
Yeah,
are a
but
regular.
they see you too, and they're like, "Yeah," and then, so I know because I mean I've worked, but in there, but
It's
not the same
strange.
one. I mean, I worked in Virginia, in Arlington, Virginia, and but um, I don't know. I always worked as more or less a counselor, but I wasn't. That they didn't even have that back then per se. But
Yeah,
like I worked, the inmates were my employees. They
that's funny.
were. They were because, like in the kitchen, you know how you get a job?
Yeah.
The trustees get the jobs in the jail. So yeah, I ran a kitchen with 21 male inmates,
Oh
like,
man,
and they weren't juveniles, like they weren't juveniles, and
damn. Better the men than the women though.
yeah, but then I worked with the
Yeah.
women in the new jail when I became commissary manager, I had a couple, not Jen. Jen never worked in the commissary because somebody was like, I took advantage of Jen, which is no, Jen never worked in the commissary. Never, ever, ever. There was no benefit, no nothing like that. But so I really got to spend time with the inmates, and like a lot of them, it was just there. There's so much creativity and
You know,
stuff, and so much talent in there, and a lot of the inmates, because I worked with trustees, so they weren't in there for violent acts,
right. Yeah,
and right. So I mean, usually they were in there for drug issues 9 times out of 10, and so they were really interesting, and a lot of them were really good people. Some of the drug charges were like bogus. I'll tell you a story. I don't know if you know this. I've said this on my channel, and this is like really important to put out there for people. So when I was working in the jail, there was a guy that kind of stuck out like a sore thumb. Just somebody that you were like, "What are you there for?" There was a few people, but usually it would be white collar criminals that would kind of stand out. Okay, so this guy, I don't know, you just couldn't put your finger on what was up. So finally, I just asked him, "What are you in here for, man?" And he said to me, "I was coming home from a bar one night," he said, "and I ended up driving through somebody's house, killing the guy in the recliner." So this guy that had never been in trouble before. He didn't never been in trouble before. The no criminal record, no nothing, was in there for vehicular manslaughter.
You know what? Thank you for bringing that up. The man Bobby Petrocelli that comes on my channel, he's been on here twice. He wrote me letters of recommendation, like good guy, mentor. He spoke at my high school when I was in high school, and now we're friends. Which sounds crazy, but he had a drunk driver drove through his home, and his new wife, I mean, they're newly married, a couple of years, and she was killed instantly. He went through the bedroom like drunk, and he lived, obviously, but he tells his story and goes to school still, and like that's his, and he never was an alcoholic or addict, and he knows, but it's so our connection is interesting, right? Because I'm an ex addict, and he, an ex alcoholic or whatever, or alcoholic killed his wife, and so,
Right.
and John Templeton that came on here, I got sober at his treatment center when he was 19. He killed a girl that was 18, and he got a couple of years in prison, luckily, but he opened the treatment center, and he's been sober, and he speaks, and the I met so many people in prison with vehicular manslaughter. You guys, it's so common. It's scary. Like, don't drink and drive. I mean, and I did all the time. And like it's so scary how easily that could be you. The stories these girls would tell me, and they're in there for like a long time, like 15, 20 years. And like some of them killed their own friends, their own boyfriends. You know,
Yeah.
it's
So
just
imagine you're sitting there, you're doing time, and you're actually doing time. So you
yeah.
finish that way, but inside your own head is
It's
that fucking movie going around and around and around. So the thing is that it's easy to say when you're sober, right? Not
yeah.
to drink and drive, but try to convince a drunk that they shouldn't get their car keys, and that's a whole other story.
Yeah. I got a DUI. That because I was fighting for my car keys when I was blacked out drunk. And they called the cops. They're like, you're not driving. Like you're not going anywhere. And
Mhm.
so good thing they arrested me before I did leave. But it's a it's a scary thing because I think it happens way more. Like people are really screwed up on the road driving. Like even like a drink or two, I realize that people, it's like kind of normal. And I don't know, it's kind of weird, isn't it? That's kind of normal to like go to a bar and then like drive home. Like normal people do that, I
Well,
think.
how else are you supposed to get to the bar and get home?
I don't know.
They
So
have
that's
it set up
normal.
for you. They
They
set it up for you
arrest
that
you
way.
though, I think. Like one drink is like one or two drinks is like it's high enough to get you to. So it's like they could be assholes and arrest you. I'm pretty sure for like,
They have to first pull you over for something, though.
yeah,
I
true.
mean, they got to usually pull you over for something. So,
If you're doing something stupid, yeah. But I mean, obviously you're not intoxicated if you're driving. You shouldn't, you shouldn't be, obviously. What, Don? A guy hit you was on cocaine? Oh wow, you're a pedestrian? That's scary. It's really scary. Yeah, so
I
I'm glad you.
hit a tree. I hit when I was a park ranger.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing that stuff. That's how I. What happened was I was a park ranger. I was about I don't know, maybe 20, 21, and I didn't even smoke weed at the time. I had smoked before, but I didn't like it, and I was so ignorant to drugs. And somebody said, "Hey, we're gonna go in and pitch. We're gonna. Do you want to pitch in? We're gonna." And I said to myself, "Yeah, I'll pitch in because I'm not gonna like it." Yeah, they didn't like it. I liked it. Big mistake
Oh
that.
man.
And then I realized at the time, just say no. That stupid saying, just say no, just say no. So anyway, that's how I got on that. But I hit a tree in the park ranger truck looking down while doing a line of cocaine. So I guess that's probably what happened with you, Dawn. I'm sorry to hear that. That
Yeah.
somebody was looking down. They were looking down, trying to take care of their nose candy, and there's poor Dawn walking. It so sucks. I don't mean it. It's not funny. It's
No,
not
but
funny at all. And people don't realize it's kind of like looking at these fucking phones now, to be honest with you. You cannot look down. You have to be responsible.
it's so true. I do it with the phone and I go, what the fuck? Like
Yeah, I
literally.
do it. I'm guilty too, but now I've just been like, I usually will put something in the car and get that ready beforehand because there's no excuse. How are you going to say I'm
I know.
sorry to somebody? I'm sorry
Yeah.
for you can't take that back, so you
Over
gotta,
stupid bullshit
yeah,
text, probably,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So it's
yeah.
it's
You're
crazy.
welcome, Dawn. You're welcome. I'm sorry. I really am sorry about that.
Yeah, that's wild. Luckily, what happened to me was, you know, problems of my own making, obviously, and I didn't blame anybody else but myself. More so than I should have probably, to beat myself over my own head over and over. Really hard on myself, even still to this day. Like I'd like to say that I'm not, but it's still a struggle. Um, because I feel so guilty for things like when I couldn't control, like when I was like blacked out. Like I don't mean I couldn't control not drinking, because I still feel like I could go drink right now if I wanted to. I mean, I don't, because I don't want to. So I'm controlling that right now. But when I'm under the influence, I'm not controlling. Like I'm out of control. Like
Yeah,
I'm
but how many drinks does it take to get to there?
to get to where I'm blacked out.
No, to where it's like oh, what the fuck, let me to where it's like before
Any
you like, so that's the thing, it's like once you have the drink you abuse it.
Yeah, like so it's
But
the
you can
euphoria.
stay away from it, so you really you can stay away from it, it's just once you have it.
Yeah.
Is it,
Uh,
so I feel like that's a drugs abuser as opposed to a drugs addict.
yeah,
Or
it's a weird thing because like I don't like alcohol next to me. It doesn't bother me at all. But I was an extreme drunk, and I liked, but now I just don't think about it, um, which is kind of crazy. But if it's when I feel when I'm stimulated, the euphoria. That's when I'm in my, and I know it's coming already. So I know that reward is coming. And so then I'm like, it's like game on. Like I go into like this mode, like no, like it's like different mode, like, fuck everybody. I'm doing what I want to do and I don't care. And I just like, I spiral until like I would get arrested or I would go to the psych ward or I would, something would happen. And I kept doing that over and over again. I'm like, why do I keep doing this? Luckily it was
insanity.
yeah, it was total insanity.
Insanity. Yeah.
I mean, so luckily I did go to prison. That probably saved my life. Um, I got sober right after. So Even a year in prison wasn't enough for me to stay clean after. I still messed up once more and went to jail. And then after I went to rehab. And here I am. I relapsed and I got back up, and that sucked because it's like, oh, I fucked up. Oh well,
Yeah,
get back.
yeah, but there's credit in getting back up. Holly Jolly, you missed nada. You missed nothing, Holly. You're here. We're still talking. It's live.
You're chilling. Yeah, it's
Holly.
like as long as you get your ass back up, because like we're not perfect. I don't know how to do life. Like I've never done life before. You
Not
know
that you remember.
that's true. That's true. But like, so I don't know. I don't even like. I don't know how to do shit. um, Thanks, Liam. Hit the like button. Yeah, thank you. Um, but yeah, so and even just like every day is still I think like I'm gonna get good at life or something. And then like
I
as I'm
think
getting
we get better as we go closer to the end of it. We get
I know
really good at it as we end it.
it's just more surprises though, and I'm like, oh my God. But I learn more and I'm like, oh, I didn't know about this. Oh, this is another thing. Great.
Right.
But it's part of the journey, I guess, right?
It is.
You learn.
It is a ride.
Yeah, because I was a naive little girl at 23 when I and thought there was no consequences. I was brought up spoiled, everything taken care of, and then life hit me in the face with the consequences, and it was like real life is happening. You are in real life right now, okay?
Right.
Like your parents, you are an adult. Like it was like, oh my God, and then so that was probably the best thing that could happen. I was not in reality then. I didn't want
Right.
to stay in reality, you
Right.
know.
So will you always have that record or will it at some point be able to get expunged? Nope.
Hell
Always
no.
always and forever.
Yeah, yeah, and they're since they're battery charges, they're looked at like a whole nother category, and so that's it. It messes me up. That's what even working for a treatment center that I had to fight for.
Right.
So I don't, which I get it. Like I wouldn't want to hire, but if it's been long enough and someone is rehabilitated, someone's rehabilitated. Like there
Right.
has to be a line
What's the
somewhere.
point of getting them rehabilitated?
Yeah, there has to be a line to where we're saying like this is what we believe in. We believe people can change, right?
Yeah, I
So
do. I do. But there are crimes that I don't think people can come back from.
no,
So
there's
I just
not.
want to
I
let
agree.
that be known.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
there's crimes that I just.
Well, and I think the thing with addiction too is like even some addiction I could say is not forgivable too. Like when I start thinking about drug dealers and shit, when I start thinking about the higher up stuff and
I don't understand why they're putting fentanyl in the drugs. I have never ever, and I know this almost sounds like funny, and I don't mean it funny, but I mean, I have never seen any fucking business that tries to kill off their
I know.
clients.
I know. So it's because it's so freaking cheap and it doesn't matter if they do. And people are addicted to fentanyl. So like I was actually addicted to fentanyl. I don't like I was like there's no real H on the street anymore. Like people are and I know that doesn't mean anything to anybody, but I'm trying to say like people are like straight dying like left and right. Like it's really bad. And people are knowing how strong it is and actively doing it. So like remember in the beginning when nobody did it and it was just like you just got like if you got it in your stuff because people are putting it in there, then you're done and you don't have the tolerance. But if you have the tolerance, are you like doing it and you overdose sometimes, which sounds I say it so easy.
Casually.
Yeah, but it's I'm like so used to seeing it, and it's the Kevin Dahlgren on my page. He does a lot of homeless work, and he goes to these talks to these addicts, and he's a addiction counselor, and he comes at it from the angle of on the streets and the stuff, man, that he's shown with the fentanyl and stuff he told me that he sees with this trank shit. Did you hear the trank shit? It's
No. It's like double the most. It's like double the thing of fentanyl or something.
It's like it is weird because it's not so it doesn't have opiate in it. So Narcan cannot bring you back to life. So you are dead if you die. You know
And
what I mean?
so explain that. So somebody had told me something about that, and um I had a follower, a subscriber, somebody in the community that was worried about their kid, and I said, down in Florida, they have something that's like so much worse. So what is that? Can you tell me what that is?
The drug, the
Yeah.
yeah. So
Excuse me, what you were just talking about. Trank, is it?
they're calling it like trank dope, and trank. It is so years and years ago they had crocodile in Russia. A lot of people have seen the documentary. I believe it's just like that. It's like a veterinarian thing. Here, let me. I did a video on it. I don't even remember, like because it's like it makes your skin rot. Have you seen the videos?
I
It
I yeah.
it is like their skin is rotting in random places, open wounds, and they're not stopping. I remember the crocodile had gasoline in it, and I remember something else. And
I never
here,
even heard of the crocodile, whatever you're talking about. Never heard of that.
animal sedative mixed with fentanyl. So that's the thing. It's like the animal sedative, xylazine. That's it. Okay, so I couldn't remember the real name of it. So they're mixing it because it's so much stronger. So people are willing to risk for that high death just that much. I mean, that's kind of crazy, right? Like that's crazy. It's all crazy.
It's Russian roulette.
It really is. Like, and they know that. We know that, you know. And when I was out there, I knew that. But you're in such a you're not there. You're not there, and you just like I was not enjoying my life doing that stuff. You know, like it sucks. Like that life is no life. You know, it
Yeah, it's not a good thing. Not a good thing at all.
no,
Well,
I wouldn't.
we're going to be doing a live on June 20th.
Yeah, yeah,
Excited about that at 5
yes.
p.m. Eastern Standard Time to celebrate Jen's birthday. She would have been 49.
That's awesome. Yeah, so
Oh,
you guys gotta come watch us.
yes, yes, yes.
Cool.
And yeah, we're going to talk about my ex.
We're gonna celebrate her.
Celebrate my ex. Yeah. So I'm starting to get really tired here as I'm sitting here because me working that shift, and I got up at like 3 o'clock and
Oh
everything, and
Jesus.
did a power thing.
Go to
To,
sleep.
so, but I did want to do this, and yeah, and I
Thank you.
enjoyed this. No,
Me
I
too.
enjoyed this. I think that there's a lot. I'm going to go ahead and grab it and put it on my channel, and I'm hoping that the next time, see, just so people know, the StreamYard is hooked up to Everybody Has a Story to Tell with Toddy One Skip. It's not hooked up with Issues with Toddy One Skip. So I
True.
don't know how to do that. That's what the issue
Right.
is. That's what the issue with Toddy One Skip is at the moment. And then I
True.
have another video that I finished right before this one that I want to put out as well. So I want to put these two videos out
Do
and go
it.
to sleep for the rest of the night. And
Sounds
yeah.
good.
All right,
Such
guys. I appreciate you, Lindsay. Thank you
I
for
appreciate you
this.
too. Bye guys.
And I'll see you soon.
See you
All
soon.
right.
Talk soon.
Okay. Bye.